For this tutorial, you'll be learning about Adobe Audition, which is the audio editing software that is part of Creative Cloud. If you haven't already got it on your computer, you should. It's over here. Just press the start button and you'll see Adobe Audition. If it's not installed for whatever reason, then open up the Creative Cloud desktop and you'll just need to install it. If you're doing this at home, remember you can be signed up to 2 devices, so you could be working on this at home if you would like. So for the assignment, you're going to be learning how to edit some audio that I've provided for you this time. I recorded this interview with my dad a couple of years ago, and I got this piano music that we're going to bring in. And this, I'm going to start by double-clicking or dragging in over here in the Files area your files for this assignment. One of these is a MP4 file and one of them is a WAV file. Both of those are different types of sound files. The WAV file is an uncompressed format, meaning it's going to be larger, and the MP3 is a compressed file format. So not that important, but you just need to know basically the WAV files and MP3 files are different kinds of sounds. So to start with, I'm going to open up the WAV file that says Powell Interview, and it's 20 minutes long. This is an interview that I recorded with me and my dad, like I said, and you will have to record way more audio than you will end up using. So we're going to end up editing this down to 30 seconds. And to start with, we're going to do a little bit of processing before we throw it into the multi-track. So first thing I'm going to do is double click, and that means I've selected the whole thing here. I'm going to go up here to Effects, Special, and choose Vocal Enhancer. And you can see, never mind, I'm not going to go into that. So low tone is what we want to choose. This used to be actually female and male, but they decided to change it up. So because both of the speakers are male in this case, I'm going to choose low tone. You can customize it however you want. It doesn't make a huge difference, but we're going to apply that effect. Okay, notice what has changed. If I go back and undo that real quick, so that's before, this is after. You can see that it's kind of evened everything out. So if you have your sounds at a whole bunch of different levels, this is a very quick and easy way to kind of even it out. Makes it a little more even, which it makes it easier to edit with later. Next thing I'm going to go to and do is go to Favorites and do Normalize to -3 decibels. So negative decibels is how we measure sound, and we don't want to go over 0 in this case. So that's the way when you measure audio, 0 is like the top. If you go over 0, you're going to be clipping, which is going to cause distortion, and it's just not going to make your sound quality much less. So you can see that when I did the -3, raised it to -3, that raised it up a little bit, so it's a little bit louder. What that did was it took the top point, which looks to be right about there, and it made that -3. You can see that right there. And then it raised everything else up the same amount. So it's all kind of even now, and it's a little bit louder than it was. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to right click, and I'm going to insert into the multi-track. I'm going to make a new multi-track session, and you can make a folder for this on your desktop. If you don't already have a folder for this, make a new folder, put all your stuff on your desktop for this, and I'm going to call this Intro to Audio Editing. You can use whatever title you want to use, but make it something that you're going to remember in case you need to go back and do it later. So by default, it's brought in the 20-minute interview, and it's and it hasn't brought in the music. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the music now. So you can see that it looks a little bit like Adobe Premiere. You've got a bunch of different tracks. You don't need all those extra tracks. If you want to delete them, you can. And when I click on this, over here on the side, it says assign a tag. So this is something that Audition does. If you tag over here, it's going to give you some options that are going to be relevant for whatever kind of audio it is. So this is dialogue because it's people talking, and then this one is music. So if I start off and I just play both of these together.
Well, I'm Don Powell, and my traveling started early. I was born in Lima, Peru, a foreign country, and lived there for about 6 months with my...
So it's a little too loud the music is a little too loud for the audio there. So what we're going to do, and this is really convenient, is I'm going to go here to ducking. And what ducking does is it lowers the volume when there's another sound that it's playing with. So I can just check this box, and now it's automatically going to duck against dialogue clips, and I can adjust these other settings if I want. But now that since this is dialogue and I've set this to duck against dialogue, it should lower the volume quite a bit.
My mom, Dad, and then after 6 months we moved from Lima, Peru back to Kansas City, Kansas. And in Kansas City, Kansas, I started started kindergarten, I guess, and then started first grade.
So you can still hear it in the background, but it's much less. So you can adjust that if you want to adjust those. The main thing that you're going to need to do here, and I'm going to go ahead and mute this second track because right now I'm not concerned with the music at all. I'm going to come back and make sure I have that later. I'm just going to go through and I'm going to scan through and find some relevant portions of audio that just have my dad talking. Because when we listen to an interview in a documentary or a podcast, most of the time, I guess it depends on the type of podcast, but most of the time you just hear the person talking, especially in a documentary. You don't hear the interviewer's questions. So we're going to try to narrow it down to 30 seconds of just my dad talking without me interrupting him. And I'm probably going to have to use several different clips to do that. So I'm just going to pick a random spot right here and see what he's talking about.
It wasn't really building his carved rock, but it was the...
Sounds like he's in the middle of a story. So anyway, you're going to have to explore this and figure it out for yourself. But when you've got a relevant portion that you want to use, you're going to go up here and you're going to use the razor tool. So back in Premiere, this was C for cut, the shortcut. Now it's R. I want you to make sure that you don't have the razor all clips tool, which is the double razor, because if I do that, you can see it's also cutting up my music, and I do not want to do that. So I'm just going to go back here and make sure that I'm using the razor tool. So say I've identified this part right here. This is a part that I want to keep. Again, you're probably going to have to make multiple cuts and move multiple things around. Part of editing is taking out the ums and the ahs and making it flow and making it sound natural, which is not always easy to do. So I'm going to say I'm going to start with this portion of my interview, and I'm going to shift delete, which will see how that moved everything up. Okay, so now I've got this little portion of the interview.
What are what are some of the things you like about traveling? Or yeah, let's start with that. What are some
traveling?
of the things?
Yeah, the good thing about traveling.
Okay, so I've got myself talking there. I'm going to cut myself out.
Yeah, the good thing about traveling.
You can press plus and minus keys to move in and out. You can also press this key up by the number 1 and above tab, the little squiggly line on top, and that's going to take, just like in Premiere, that's going to take whatever panel that you're currently in, and I'm in the editor, it's going to make that the full thing.
Yeah, the good thing about
I'm going to start where he says the good thing.
good thing about traveling. Yeah, the good thing about
Okay, so I'm using the razor tool now, and I'm making my cut, and that's really when I want to start this, because I don't want myself in it at all. I'm going to shift delete again, ripple delete, and that got rid of that audio. So when you're done, again, you need to edit this down so it's just 30 seconds of my dad talking. It needs to be coherent, meaning it needs to make sense when you listen to it straight through. It needs to not have any ums and ahs and that kind of stuff. And it definitely doesn't need to have me talking. So right now I haven't narrowed it down much. You can see up at the top there's way more than I would actually use for the actual assignment, but that is your job on this assignment. So when you've got everything down to 30 seconds, you need to have the music playing in the background. You've got 30 seconds of that. And then you've got 30 seconds of my dad. When you're done and you're ready to export, here's how you do it. You go to File, you go to Export, you go to Multitrack Mixdown, and you pick the entire session. Okay? And you will have a choice here of what you want to do. It's editing, the intro to audition editing, and I can see I misspelled audition. That's so sad. So I'm going to make sure it ends up in that folder so I know where to upload it when I'm done in ready to go to Canvas. Format, go ahead and do MP3. WAV or MP3 is fine, but let's pick MP3 for this one and just hit OK. And now when I'm ready to turn it in, it's going to be slightly different because when I do it Now, instead of doing select video file, you need to make sure to select audio file, because it won't let you turn in an MP3 as a video file, because it's not a video, it's just a audio clip. So that is all you have to do.